you trust Ferguson Roof Systems to replace your roof, we go the extra mile to protect your home and property. On every job, we deploy durable netting to protect your home's exterior and landscaping. It's just one more reason why you should call Ferguson Roof Systems today.
Right. Hey, everybody. Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle with you. I know it's been a minute. I've been under the weather. I was sick for like a week, man. Wasn't COVID, but it was just like a sinus allergy attack that just never stopped. I had to call the doctor and go, dude, give me a Z-Pack. Hopefully this knocks it out. And it did, man. That stuff works magic. So thanks, Doc. But anyways, we're back at it. We feel better today, so that's good. Hopefully you're not under the weather. And hopefully you're not going to be under a storm. I've still been busy doing some other stuff work-wise and today, and I just now had a chance to even look at the weather. And I saw that there was a threat of severe weather for Thursday. And I said, of course, it figures. Because, why? Well, today, if you didn't read my blog, shame on you, but today is March 15th. And what's so special about March 15th? Today is our unofficial start to the severe weather season. Why do we say unofficial? Because there's no technically official start date. It's just an average date. And we typically say from mid-March to mid-June. So we say from March 15th to June 15th. So we try to squeeze everything in when it comes to the bulk of our severe weather season. Doesn't mean we can't have it outside of those dates, but we get by far and large the majority of it squeezed in that 3-month period. So that is kind of why we talk about that. So if you ever hear no sound, Bethany, if you ever hear that reason, that is the case. So Beth, you're gonna have to turn your volume up. All right, Sharon, I'm glad you read my blog. All right, Amanda, are you on now? Yes, I'm on now. You guys do say some funny stuff, I will say. Good to see you, though, checking in for tonight. Make sure you like and share this video. Tell your friends and family about AT as well. You can hit the share button anytime during this broadcast so that it heads out to your wall and all your friends can see it. You can also hit the like button so the algorithms know that you want this information and they'll show it to you next time. If you do get late notifications from me on Facebook, make sure you tap this little deal I'm going to post right now. That is a link where you can get opted in that I can send to you through your Facebook Messenger when I go live, that we don't miss anything. And of course, during severe weather season, you might want to know that. David, thank you for the stars. Michael, thank you for the stars, gentlemen. Appreciate you kicking off the evening that way. As always, as a content creator, we do appreciate your gifts in that aspect of it. It helps to pay for all the stuff that we do. Let's take a look. Also, you guys on Rumble, make sure you're good. So thanks again for checking in. And YouTube, I see you out there chiming in. Jim, I see you. Jim missed the last update when I mentioned his name. Shame, Jim. You did actually miss a broadcast. He never does, though. But I got to see him at the mall event, Penn Square Mall, for the Severe Weather Expo. So, yeah, I see you. I know you weren't home. Jim's got quite the setup, though, for severe weather when it comes to ham radio and a bunker and everything else. I was impressed. I mean, he's ready for the storms. But, yeah, hit the Prince of Rain so the algorithms know what's going on. And, of course, you guys on Twitter, thanks for checking in, and also on Facebook. Ron, thank you for the stars. Mary and Morgan, also thank you for the stars. Appreciate you. So let's get on with it, shall we? So we do have the severe weather threat to talk about. Now, out there currently, you would know there was severe weather coming our way. You know, things are kind of quiet. Got a light southeast wind. Thank you, Tim and Brigetta. Oh, boy. There's one of those names I'm going to butcher. My apologies. Tell me in there how to hyphenate it, and I'll get it next time. 60 degrees, though, so we haven't had really a lot of moisture work in yet, but we're about to coming in from the Gulf of Mexico, and we'll show you that as well. Okay, so here is a look at the severe weather threat from the Storm Prediction Center. Thank you, Mary. You can see the moderate risk, which is that area in orange. It covers all of Dallas-Fort Worth, northeast Texas, and the southern, the southern fifth of Oklahoma, you might want to say. However, that said, just my opinion, but I believe that this will be extended to be like this, just so you know. So this will go up a little bit more to cover the I-40 corridor just south and east Oklahoma City Metro. And this little Yellow line here will probably back up a little bit more to include the metro for some hail with any of those storms that do develop. But that's the only significant changes I see as far as Oklahoma is concerned. The rest of Texas probably looks okay with this situation. Now, that's just the risk area. If you break it down to tornadoes, the Storm Prediction Center kind of has it in this brown area, which is more favored. And that's kind of where I like that moderate risk, because I do believe there's a threat of tornadoes in this region right up to I-40 and just south of the metro. Probably as far north as possibly Norman, but maybe a little bit more south of there, just by a few miles. Otherwise, all the way down to Dallas-Fort Worth. And then, of course, points east and southeast from there. We're talking about hail, the big hails in the forecast. Analogs are up to around grapefruit size in some cases, and that's, again, in this big circled area here from Dallas up to the north. Some smaller hail here in Oklahoma City, but can't rule it out. And then as far as the wind is concerned, same kind of idea. Dallas-Fort Worth up to the north and east in this little sweet spot here, where you've got kind of a higher risk of hail. So that's the kind of the breakdown over the southern plains. Here is a look at the specific view for Oklahoma. Check mark, baseball size. I get it. Winds, again, typical, over 60 miles per hour. Tornado potential low, but it depends on where you live and who you ask, right? But in this area is a favorite area to watch for that. Again, I don't expect any tornadoes here in Oklahoma City. They should all be south and east of town. If you do look at the, let's just say the highlighted area of that, you can see the green shading is really where the most favorable zone for tornadoes to occur. You can't roll one out though in the little blue shading, which just barely clips the southern and southeastern part of the metro and then kind of rolls right along I-40. So that's the far northern fringe of where that potential could lie. In southeast Oklahoma, there is your kind of breakdown of where the severe weather should remain for the most part. Same kind of deal going on down there with some big hail in that region. And then as far as times go, a little earlier than what we normally see. So we'll likely see some thunderstorms fire by really probably 2 o'clock right on this northern fringe right here. At least some showers bubbling up. And by 3, as the cold front moves in, we're going to see them bubble up right here across the metro. And they'll really get going by the time they head to this zone right here. So once they get just south and east of town is where things just ought to get nasty, just so you know. All right, here's a look at the mid-levels of the atmosphere. Take a look at the jet stream pattern. By the way, if you're new, just chimed in, and you missed the intro, make sure you like and share this video right now. Hit on the button for the share. That way your wall gets it so everybody can see it. And if you hit like, that way the algorithms know that you want the content, so they'll show it to you again. So again, we've got this kind of a split, let's just call it a flow here. Let's just call it a west to east flow coming in with a slight drift to the northeast. So kind of a very slight southwest flow, almost kind of zonal. But what you have here, though, is all this little lift, is all these little colors on the map. That's vorticity, a spin of the atmosphere, which creates lift and which creates precipitation. What you have above that layer, at the upper levels of the jet stream, you have this punch of air that comes right in here. Sweet spot, right across the southern half of the state, just clipping kind of North Texas, as far as what we call evacuating the air at the very top of the atmosphere, which really allows those thunderstorms to grow tall. But down closer to the surface, where we live and breathe, just a few thousand feet off the ground, is where we have the 700 millibar layer, which creates the low-level lift that we need along boundaries like cold fronts, dry lines, warm fronts. Where you see the brighter red areas, oh, get back over there. I didn't tell you to go forward. That's where you get the really good lift along the front. So late afternoon, it does have the front lighting up like a Christmas tree. This is the cold front right here. And then also we have a little bit of a pseudo dry line out here in the southern parts of the state, a lot of a wind shift. And that really kind of helps to bubble things up in this zone. So in other words, the models really love this hot spot in this corner here for a lot of lift and a lot of storms to develop because of the way the surface pattern is. Now, if we talk about the dew point values, we're looking at the green areas here. Now, once we see some of that blue show up, there we go. You see that kind of sneak in here by 10, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That is where you get the dew point values into the 60s. Now remember, tornadoes like those dew point values in the 60s. They don't like to form too well when you're 50s or lower here in this part of the country. If you get up here, look at these dew point values in the 30s and 20s. If you can put your mind to the matter, you can pretty much guesstimate, yep, we're talking about a very strong cold front quickly, and I do mean hauling booty across Oklahoma for tomorrow, starting in the morning hours up in the Panhandle, and then racing southeast. So this is a good thing. It's a good thing because it's going to shove everything out of here so fast. It's also a good thing because in some cases, if you can get thunderstorms to form along the boundary, if a front is moving too slow, those storms can ingest vorticity or spin along that area of disturbed weather and create little enhancement for a tornado. But if this thunderstorm, or excuse me, if the cold front is moving too fast, it undercuts the thunderstorm. It blows right underneath it. It's like, phew, goes right there. So it removes the ability to produce a tornado. So it can go either way in your favor. So what we're hoping for is that the front just keeps barreling through and it keeps undercutting the updrafts and prevents tornado genesis. That's what we're hoping for. Will it happen in some cases? Yes. Will it happen in all cases? I'm not 100% sure, because otherwise the environment does favor some tornadoes. All right, so again, this is at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to kind of give you an idea. This is why I said the storms will probably start a little earlier, around 1 to 2, because look at here, by the time we're headed to 1 o'clock, some of the surface features are already moving through the metro. So in other words, the cold front's already blowing through based on the high-resolution data. By 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock, you can see the front has already passed through Tulsa, northeast Oklahoma, so it's kind of rolling right here, just south of Norman. So that's why from 3 o'clock onwards, really a sweet spot for a lot of these storms get really nasty when it comes to hail, potential for tornadoes. The threat is pretty much out of the greater metro area for Oklahoma City and even into Tulsa. So that does shift the zone for that kind of stuff along the I-35 corridor south of town and right along I-40 out toward Fort Smith. So this favored zone here in the southeastern quadrant of Oklahoma for tomorrow is the best spot for all three threats. The large hail, the damaging winds, and yes, a few tornadoes is likely in that area. So that's what we have right now on the dew point maps. It kind of shows you how things evolve. By 5 o'clock, you see that dry air is moving through. It's going to get cold behind that front. I'll show you the temperatures here in a second. But all the juicy moisture is down here across southeast Oklahoma for the 6 o'clock hour. So remember, it's moving pretty quick. North Texas, you're still in the juice down around Dallas-Fort Worth, for example. I'm going to back this up. No, I'll do it on the next map. We'll do that on the next map. Move on. Okay, so let's talk about the instability, the cape, and shear in the atmosphere. So watch how these colors kind of come in here for the afternoon. So all this yellow, those are cape values up around 2,000. You're like, what is a cape value? What is a joule per kilogram? All it really is a measure of let's just call it heat and humidity. We're going to really simplify things. And the more heat, the more humidity you have, the better instability you have. And we measure it in the form of joules per kilogram. In other words, potential of how much energy in this atmosphere to work with. The more energy you have to work with, the bigger the storms can be. So we have quite a bit of energy up along the I-35 corridor from central Texas all the way up to just south Oklahoma City metro area. And that will shift to the east with time as we go from the afternoon hours around 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock to 5 to 6, etc. And then storms kind of move over the area, like in this zone here, it eliminates, or the models will erode that data. In other words, it says it's not there because it's got storms on top of it. So it doesn't. It's a storm-free environment output. So when storms happen, then it loses all the data. All right. So anyway, so that's going to happen. Continue on down to Texas as well. So that's for your instability and your crossover for your shear. Okay, now we do look, and this was interesting too. I want to just plot this for you. If we look at different, we call our CAM models, and these track helicity tracks. Helicity track in the lower levels from 0 to 3 kilometers is where you typically get your low-level rotation. Your low-level rotation indicating really good region for damaging winds, hail, and yes, tornadoes. That is the potential for that, as long as the atmosphere supports it. So that's usually when you see that in the model data, it's indicating, yeah, we've got that on the docket. So if you notice, there are a few tracks here that some right around I-40. There's some down here in southern, southeastern Oklahoma. There's even some down here in North Texas. So that's kind of one model there. Here's another one here, which actually has a more north, but still kind of the same configuration, mostly in the southeastern quadrant of the state. Here's another one here. There's a few down there in Texas as well. Here's one here, a big one that comes right through the southern parts of south central Oklahoma. Say Duncan, Paul's Valley kind of a deal. Then we've got another one here. It's not nearly as robust across this area, but a lot more robust on the Red River. But the bottom line is that you want to take is not each individual specific location on those. It's just the general picture. In other words, are there tracks to indicate, yes, some of these storms will rotate to produce potential for tornadoes. All right, let's take a look at the, let's call it the significant tornado parameter. In other words, where's the best parameters to produce that kind of stuff? So we see the colors start to come up on the screen. That's where the ingredients in the atmosphere are there. So if you look here, and this is, again, right here is Oklahoma City. So it's Canadian and Oklahoma County. So you can see we're just on the fringe of this. So it's all just south in this favored quadrant as a take-home. So that's kind of why I'm talking about that area. And that does continue down in South North Texas, just so you know. But you can see those little hot spots here in this little favored area. So there is going to be some good parameters for a little while, short period of time before that cold front just undercuts and blows everything out of here for the state and shoves it down to Texas, and gets us out of Oklahoma. If we do look, let me do this. We will go. I'm going to do this here in a second. No, let's do it now. All right, so we do it here. This is the what they call the simulation of what the radar will look like at a certain time. So this is, for example, this is like noon. So we already have some showers and probably elevated thunderstorms developing right here across Canadian County and just popping up here across central Oklahoma. As we go to the 1 o'clock hour, so you can see how more of those are developing. That's why I think the things will probably develop closer to 1 o'clock, just because the front's kind of moving so fast. And there's the 2 o'clock hour. You're starting to see the front really lighten up here, north and west of town, all up to Ponca City and to Kansas. And there's these little cells you got to watch out for that develop south of the front. Those are the ones you got to be concerned with when it comes to the tornado potential. So you got more storms here along the front that continues through, and then you have some other ones now bubbling up, and these guys down here, those supercell type, and you see these little tracks. These are those helicity tracks. Again, those are potential for the damaging wind, large hail, and tornadoes. That's not too far, again, south of the metro, into the early afternoon, mid-afternoon hours. So then now we're talking about the 5 o'clock hour, and 6, and let's see, there's 7 o'clock right there. So 5, 6, and 7. So you can see how they quickly do move to the south and east, but you see these little helicity tracks, and these even extend all the way down to Texas. That's why North Texas is still in the thread of that. And then the front kind of continues to light up here across Texas for a later event as you head toward like the 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock hours. That front moves on through Dallas-Fort Worth and on down south into central Texas. Probably some pockets of severe weather all the way down into that area as you go through the rest of the night, through Louisiana and Arkansas, et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of the big picture of how that will work. If we look at the tech model to see, it also says, yeah, we'll have some of those helicity tracks that do come in on some of these thunderstorms here across south central Oklahoma, and they will pepper across the southeastern quadrant of the state, and then down to North Texas as well. So kind of the same scenario, same outlook, no big change. If we do zoom in, just kind of give you an idea, one particular high-resolution model here. It shows little showers bubbling up here by noon to 1 o'clock. Now this one's a little bit more the east of that. They could be easily much more to the west. They've got the bubbling of thunderstorms down here in southern and southeastern Oklahoma. Every model's going to have a slightly different look. Neither one of them is going to be completely exact. It's just kind of the take-home is where you want to see the timing, the intensity, that kind of stuff. Now if we do like a point-click sounding to see what the atmosphere is capable of, if we look down here, by the way, thank you, Carrie, for the stars, and Sherry as well, thank you. If we look down here to the southeast Oklahoma, you do see the potential for a PDS tour. All right, that means a very significant tornado threat with an EF3 to possibly even EF4 strength, with a significant hail size up to 2 to 3 to 4 inches in the analogs with significant supercells, which means a weak cap in place, plenty of instability, somewhat decent photograph, nice wind shear. So in other words, the models are favoring that area of southern and southeastern Oklahoma for more instability and potential for tornadic-like conditions with those storms, which is why they put those little helicity tracks. And you can see that continues on down to North Texas, right into Dallas-Fort Worth. So if we were to kind of zoom into Dallas-Fort Worth as well, let's see. So we go into the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock hour, 6 o'clock. So again, they've got some thunderstorms bubbling up down here in that area. So you guys will have to keep an eye on the sky. Make sure you use my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It will predict these tornadoes before they actually happen. And that will give you extra warning. So if you haven't downloaded my app yet, again, search the Google and Apple Play stores. Look for AT's Weather to Go. You can type in my name, Aaron Tuttle. That should come up. You might see another app that shows up above mine when you type in my name. It's because some unscrupulous people know that I'm so popular in this department that they put my name on their app to make you download theirs by accident. Shady, man. People are so shady these days. It's sus everywhere. I mean, grifters. It's just the internet's filled with just con men. It's so disgusting. But anyway, so just look for AT's weather. Make sure you get that. All right, if we look at the rainfall amounts with all this, you can see some decent rains from just around central Oklahoma, and then points to the east and obviously the southeast, where they share the wealth. We don't need to keep getting rain down here. We need to get it back to the west, the southwest, and northwest. But needless to say, that's where it's going to be. All right, we take a look at temperatures. Like I mentioned, this cold front is going to be strong. So let's take a look at how that may look out for you, depending on where you live. So 10 o'clock in the morning, remember, it's all the way through the panhandle already. Liberal, Kansas, 42 degrees. We're going to be into the upper 50s to mid 60s by lunchtime as that front starts to knock on our door. So there's 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock, and there's that cold front already starting to move through and cut the Oklahoma City metro area in half. So much colder on the northwestern side. There's temperatures dropping to 41 degrees. Remember, that's going to be about, there's 65. So some 65 to 41. You believe that? I'm almost a 25-degree temperature drop. So you may walk out the door thinking it's going to be a nice day, but by the time you head to the afternoon, you'll be like, what? Where's my winter coat? All right, so there's 3 o'clock. Again, cold moves in, 4 and 5. The warm heat down here in southern Oklahoma, which is some 70s and 60s mixed in, will quickly get replaced by the colder temperatures as well. So in the evening, we're in the 30s and some 40s out there across Oklahoma. And I will show you the radar precipitation coverage. I want to show you that there's a possibility for a little snow, believe it or not. So there's Friday morning into the 30s across the northern parts of the state. So obviously Friday morning is a little bit colder, even some 20s sneaking in there. And then by Friday afternoon, we're back into the 40s to near 50 across. So it's a pretty decent rebound, but otherwise, man, winter's not giving up. Man, it's hanging in there. And then Saturday morning, we're going to repeat on the cold stuff. And then the weekend looks pretty chilly, and I'll show you that here in a second. But I would want to show you the potential for some snow. And don't get too excited. It's the typical mixture of rain and snow with, very little of it accumulating for a very short period of time. You see a little blue spot that goes up here across in northwestern Oklahoma. Like here's Woodward at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, for example. And it's got a temperature of 32 over 34. So that typically means rainfall with wet snowflakes mixed in. So at most, you might get a brief dusting up here in the panel before it pretty much melts. All right, let's take a look at your temperatures here locally, Oklahoma City. And if you live across the state, you might have to finagle these temperatures by a couple of degrees, either north or south. Usually it's a couple of degrees cooler in the north, and usually it's a couple of degrees cooler or warmer in the south. Otherwise, so temperatures will be falling in the afternoon very quickly around lunchtime, and then we're going to be in the cold side really for the next several days, all the way up through the weekend, early next week. Then after that, for Wednesday and Thursday, pretty decent, but the roller coaster ride continues where those temperatures are going up and down, up and down. So, Shannon, yes, I did. Yeah. Yes, I did. Anyway, so that's what I've got here for you. I will do a live broadcast at lunchtime tomorrow to see how things are changing as far as placement of the severe weather is concerned. And then I do plan on going live tomorrow, late afternoon and evening, assuming that we do have some of the tornadoes that do develop. So that's in the plan. Thank you, Christy, on YouTube. I see your nice comment there. So anyone I do meet, when you guys do find me out in public, first off, thank you for not throwing things at me. But also, thank you for coming up and talking to me. And usually 90% of the time, you come at me with your first thing, which is thank you for the calm, cool, relaxing coverage, right? And it's funny, I'll hear stories and you'll say, we're back here, watching me and the kids and everything's calm. And then the wife's like, he's too calm for me. And they'll turn on 30 seconds of David Payne, and all of a sudden she's worked up into a frizzy, panicking. And the husband says, I told you not to do that. And then she comes back, and then I calm her back down again. So that was one of the stories I heard from all of a couple weekends ago, and I just died laughing. So if you want to get worked up, by all means, get your work up on, across the street. But then when you're done with that and you've had enough of that, it don't take long. 30 seconds is all you need to get triggered. You come back here and I'll untrigger you, and then we'll get you through the rest of the storm system. But anyway, so that's just a little fun story for you. But I love when you guys tell me these little stories. It makes me laugh. And it also makes me, know that you appreciate what I do, the way I cover storms here in Oklahoma, especially if you're not from here and you're from California and New York or East Coast, West Coast, and, all you've heard is we have tornadoes everywhere. So I put your mind at ease and show you what really happens. All right, so that is out. It is time for me to go. Appreciate you guys watching tonight, and we will see you again tomorrow. Thanks again, and we'll keep you safe. All right, so we'll talk soon. Take care.